Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. This is the English translation of the Majlis of Hazrath Maulana Qamar Uzzaman Saheb Damat Barakatuhum, which took place on Friday, the 14th of Safar 1445, corresponding with the English date, the 1st of September 2023. Hazrat Wala starts off this Majlis by quoting the ayat of the Quran Majid, وَاذْكُرُوا اللَّهَ كَثِيرًا لَعَلَّكُمْ تُفْلِحُونَ. I mean, if so much is said to us, isn't this sufficient for us from the kalam of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala for our najat and our success? Remember Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala abundantly so that you may become successful. So here, our gathering, reading and listening, this majlis, Allah Ta'ala accept it. You know, a person, something unfortunate comes about, he says, Inna lillahi wa inna ilayhi raji'un. On the occasion of happiness, he says, Alhamdulillahi Rabbil Alameen. There are so many, 8 or 9 of these type of terminologies, that if this happens, says this, say this. If that happens, say this here. You know, so the zikr of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is done in every condition, whether a person is in health or in sickness. From amongst our Buzrugan-e-Din, it is written, we read about it, that one of our Buzrugan-e-Din towards the end of his life, now when this is in denial and that is in denial, and then he starts becoming decapacitated more and more day by day. What did he say at that time? At presently, that zikr qalbi, yahi kaam aa raha hai, this year is benefiting me much or tremendously, because the balance of my organs or this or that or my tongue, etc., what I have learned from my ustad, zikr qalbi now has taken over, or I am keeping myself in this halat now presently. So it is necessary right up till the end, marte dam tak, balke at the time towards the end, all the more a person should be focused to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, to the beloved, and they should not be talk about dunya, etc. Rather, at that time, what do we do? What were we supposed to do? Talqeen, the gentle instruction of the shahada or the kalima, because shaitan is at his peak at that time, and he wants to turn your attention away from Allah and put your attention towards him. And it is for that reason that at that time we read Surah Yasin. I mean, at the time when a person is ready to make tilawat, he's reading Allah's kalam. At that time also, he is fearful of the mischief of shaitan. It is for that reason that he starts off such a great ibadat with that of ta'awuz, seeking protection in Allah against shaitan, the rejected one, that perhaps I may be carrying out the greatest ibadat, but he may come and intercept and change my niyat or do this, that and the other. So, Allah ke zikr sabse barkar hai. It is a very, very great thing. Wadhkurullah. Now, when we remember Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, there are certain conditions. Now, if so the first condition is that a person be pure from external impurity. Then thereafter he should be clear from that of darkness, zulmat se paak ho. And the meaning of which is that he should not be wearing anything. I mean, his clothes may be free from najasat external, but the clothes may be of a haram nature, maybe has been prepared from that which is haram. The third one is that of maybe it is comes from a halal source or means, but you are wearing something which is prohibited, like that of silk in the case of men. The fourth one is that of we should make sure that we are free at that time from show, pride, ostentation, izhar, letting somebody see that, okay, I am doing this, I am doing that, etc. So his clothes also, وَثِيَابَكَ فَطَهِّرْ, should be completely pure and should be, how we would say, simple and basic. That his own clothes are not taking him away, that he's so focused on his clothes, away from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Okay, we continue. The place where he is sitting also should be that which is park and pure, that chamber and that room, that corner of solitude which he then chooses, so that he can be alone with sukoon. So this year will increase the state of his zikr, and if it is possible and some khushbu he can light, then that would also be good. You know, Hazrath Haji Imdadullah used to say, "Asa ke ghair mere khana e dil mein kaise ke khiyar rukh e dildar darban apna." That how can anything else other than Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala ever penetrate and come into my heart, when the muhafiz, the guard at the door of my heart, is actually the thought of Allah in his remembrance? How will that ever allow anything else to come and penetrate into my heart? Make the dhikr of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in such a way that the heart then becomes clear, or it rids itself of everything else other than Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. You know, talking about khushbu and putting fragrance and a scent to the place where you're making zikr, I even appointed somebody and told them to do that. And I went on to say, at least on the day of Jummah do this year. You know, and then I have to ask, I've given you some money to do this year, did you do it? Why are you not doing it? And that's how it goes. Yes, in the month of Ramadan, we should be cautious regarding inhaling that type of smoke, etc. Now, people looking at something here and something there make so much of tashaddud that because of them actually bid'at and innovation come into place. They go in a point of exaggeration. बहुत से ना समझ बेवकूफ़ तशद्दुद की वजह से बिदत में आ जाती है और उनकी वजह से बिदत आ जाती भी है. You know, Allama Shatibi is writing that. So then they go into that extreme. No itar. You can't burn anything to fragrance and make a beautiful scent to the place there. You can't do this, you can't do that, you can't do that, etc. Hazrat Maulana Mohammad Mia Hassani, once when I went to Lucknow and I went to his upstairs there to his chamber, you know, when I went there, what did he have to say to me? Ajib, Hazrat Maulana Shah Wasiullah Sahab ki majalis mein Allama Shatibi, Muwafaqat, Sharani, that you would find the quotations of these kitabs as well, aside from the norm which you would expect about the kitabs of Suluk and Tasawwuf. So Hazrat Wala is saying, ye sab hamare imam hai. Ye sab imam hamare. These are our great imams. And then the hasil and the crux, the essence and the gist of the Suluk and Tasawwuf is, जो अल्लाह को रस्मन मानता है वो हकीकतन मान ले. That the person who is believing in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in an artificial way or in a customary way, he starts believing in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala genuinely. So you do the dhikr so much that the La ilaha illallah becomes entrenched in the heart. Now think about it. So many adab we are speaking about. From amongst the adab and the etiquette is also that we face the Qibla and we sit murabba, cross-legged, meaning comfortably. Phail kar bete, that we are comfortable, so there would be then more concentration. Yes, sitting like that on other occasions may be prohibited. Yes, with the exception of the time of dhikr, because this was established from Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, that after the Salat Fajr, he would spread out his legs like that and carry out the dhikr of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And he would remain like this, engaged in dhikrullah until ishraq, until sunrise. So Haji Imdadullah used to also say that sit near to a wall so that there are not things there that can distract you and disturb you and take you away from Allah's remembrance. You are sitting for that, meaning distract you. So you say the name of Allah in a beautiful way, in a lovely way. Your pronunciation and your utterance of the name of Allah and the huruf are correct. Tell me, how would you feel if somebody calls your name out in a wrong way, in a different way, in a way that you wouldn't like? People just hundreds and thousands of times they take the name of Allah carelessly. They do not even say correctly and properly. Now think about this here. It is the inayat and the favor of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala with us all the time. Keep this in mind. Keep this in mind. Otherwise, where would we be? We would be useless. We would be reduced. We would be no more here. We would pass away. It is this inayat of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, His favor, His karam, His kindness on us, that we are here and we are carrying on. Keep this in mind and sit for a little while after the Fajr Salat to make the dhikr of Allah. We were in Bombay. Hazrat Maulana Shah Wasiullah Saheb was leaving to go somewhere. Now I came out, my Shaykh, he's leaving, let me go on out and see him off to the car and greet him, etc. When his eyes fell on me, he said to me, how did you come out? Go, return, go back and carry on with the dhikr of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Similarly, he was very meticulous of us carrying out dhikr of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala after the Maghrib Salat until Isha. Yes, after some time, due to make ease for the women folk, etc., so that they can also finish up with their works, he would say just a little before Isha, you people should finish off so that we can have meals, and then the women folk can finish up as well. We would make zikr bil jahr at that time there. You know, he would become so happy that he would say then amongst his daughters, just look at them. Just look at them, they're carrying out the dhikr of Allah. They're making zikr, meaning he was absolutely delighted seeing that spectacle of us making the dhikr of Allah. Ab zikr ka zikr hi nahi. Now there is no mention of zikr at all. So fadhkuruni adhkurkum, remember me in comfort and when things are working out for you, and I will remember you in difficulty. Remember me in the dunya and I will remember you in the akhirat. And despite 100 of difficulties, remember Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. There was a very great alim and he was a leader, due to which he had to sit amongst ghair, non-Muslims as well. But every now and then, even amongst them, he wanted the dhikr and the name of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to be mentioned, due to which he would every now and then say, MashaAllah, Subhanallah, Inna lillahi wa inna ilayhi raji'un. Even though those around him were all that of ghair, they were non-Muslims, so much so that the dhikr of Allah can be established even amongst them. This was the da'iyah and the passion that he had. You know the incident, famous incident of a Sahabi going to the courts of the different kings, etc. And at that time, a morsel, a piece of bread, a luqma fell down, due to which he went and stretched to pick it up. And his companion and colleague said to him, or the ambassador there, that don't do this here, that these people are ajam, and they will not understand what you are doing. In their eyes or in their minds, this year, they would not be able to understand this year. He said it softly and silently, he whispered that, due to which the Sahabi loudly replied. And what did he say? He said, should I leave and abandon the sunnah of my Rasul because of these foolish people? It is the hukam of Rasulullah. If something falls down, we should pick it up, clean, and then consume. How many people don't even wash their hands before eating? And what do they say? But my hands are clean. Do we not know that it is a sunnah of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam to wash hands before eating? What is this? Nothing other than that of laziness and shaitan taking us off the path. Allah Ta'ala give us the tawfiq. So it was obvious that your sheikh is leaving and now he's going. So you also want to go and meet him. And what did he say? No, you go, because you have come out to see me. In all of this, you'll meet one of your colleagues, you'll start talking, and the end result would be that the session of dhikr would be missed out and you would be deprived. You know, somebody came in Ramadan and they said, it is the month of Ramadan and we want to carry out tilawat to the extreme and to the greatest extent, due to which there is no time for dhikr. Immediately, Hazrat Maulana Shah Wasiullah Saheb said that, listen, the alwan, the colors, the noor of zikr is separate, and the noor and the color and the kayfiyat and the benefits of tilawat are different. Though don't you people even distinguish and speak about the different noor of this, that and the other? Sadaqah has got his own noor. وَلَذِكْرُ اللَّهِ أَكْبَرُ. And the dhikr of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is the greatest. You know, when we went to Gorakhpur and we came there, and then after Maghrib Salat, it was going to be the time where Hazrat Maulana Shah Wasiullah Saheb was going to go to the town, to the city, and carry out his majlis and his discourse. So he was leaving us. Now immediately what happens? You go into a relaxed mode. What the mashayikh, you're alert and you're doing this and that. Now just a little bit of a break. But he's leaving. But what is he saying? That listen, this is a good opportunity for you. Take advantage of it. Under every tree, there were so many orchards there. And he said, go and sit under every tree and carry out the dhikr of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Not this that you would go and eat from the guavas there or from the mangoes. No. Carry out the dhikr of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. You know the apartment of Hazrat Maulana Shah Wasiullah Saheb, at that time there, I mean now we are far away from the main road now, but the barat and these people that would come in large numbers following the procession of these wedding processions, and there's drums and there's music and there's singing and there's dancing, and those sounds would come up to his private chamber. In all of that, in that halat also, what was his impression? That listen, their thing was going on there, let us carry on with our thing this side here and make the dhikr of Allah. Immediately he would start zikr majlis there. So if you want to know the fazilat and the merit and superiority of something, you would have to come to that gathering. And this is the gathering of the dhikr of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Now tell me, if I start talking now about trade, commerce and the dunya, what would you tell me? that we are drowning in that all the time. We have come here to listen to something else. It is for that reason Hazrat Haji Imdadullah also used to say so much that sit close to a wall so you are not distracted to the Qibla wall. Zikr bahut bari cheez hai. Zikr is something very, very great. So وَاذْكُرْ رَبَّكَ فِي نَفْسِكَ تَضَرُّعًا وَخِيفَةً وَدُونَ الْجَهْرِ مِنَ الْغُدُوِّ So remember Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in yourself, silently also, what khushu, khudu, concentration, that also. So in simple, continuously, constantly, consistently carry out the dhikr of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And the meaning of dhikr is such that you rid and you empty of your heart of everything or every type of thought other than that of Allah. And this is what La ilaha illa La ilaha, the negation, nafi, is all about. That you throw out everything other than Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala from your heart, illallah, and then you establish Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in your heart. So the name Allah is A'zamul Asma. It is the greatest of all names. So things will come and go. Sickness, rather poverty, riches, different conditions. However, at every given point in time, we should be in the remembrance of Allah, and the remembrance of Allah should not be abandoned at any point. You know, the British, at one point, they said, come now and ask for forgiveness and we'll give you amnesty. We're talking about the time when they colonized India. So like that, they gave that opportunity. The opportunity, Hazrat Wala quoting that particular example, is saying that that is from the side of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala all the time, that He has given us this opportunity, that mauka. And in that time, I don't know from where to where the angels reach, and from where to where the Ahlullah and the Awliya reach. So we're speaking about abundant zikr. Even this is mentioned. Hazrat Maulana Shah Wasiullah Saheb in his Dars of Tirmizi, towards the end, what was he trying to tell us? He said, at every occasion, read the dua, stipulated dua, the sunnah dua. And by doing that, you will be counted amongst those who carry out the dhikr of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala abundantly. How would you sleep? How would you wake up? How would you enter the masjid? How would you leave the masjid? On one occasion, Hazrat Maulana Shah Fadlur Rahman was sitting on the mimbar and he was facing the door of the masjid, and this person enters the masjid in the wrong manner, not how he's supposed to do it, against the sunnah. From there, he raises his voice and he screams that masjid mein aise dakhil nahi hua karte hai, that the masjid is not entered like that, enter the masjid in the correct way. So the Buzurgan-e-Deen opened up to us and made clear to us what is the sunnah, the sabil of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. وَاتَّبِعْ سَبِيلَ مَنْ أَنَابَ إِلَيْهِ. Follow the path of the one who has turned to Allah completely and totally. So can there be anyone greater than Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam who has turned to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala? So be particular, meticulous. Take into consideration the sunnah in everything and at every point and in every condition. In fact, I am much more in need of all of this here, that this last part of my life that I have, that I spend it according to the sunnah, and that the silsila continues and people continue coming and continue benefiting. ربنا تقبل منا إنك أنت السميع العليم وتب علينا إنك أنت التواب الرحيم بحرمة سيد النبي الكريم صلى الله عليه وسلم.